Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join us. I think I know everybody, but just in case I haven't met everyone, my name is Nate Parks. I'm our Vice President of Program with Specialist Nebraska. I'm going to kind of get us started here tonight. I'm one of our heads of delegation for Team Nebraska going to the 2022 games in Orlando. We'll introduce the rest of our staff here in just a bit. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to kind of get started with the presentation that we have about the games. Just give me a moment. Okay, so again, thank you everyone. What we wanted to talk to you tonight is about, we want to talk about the 2022 USA Games scheduled for June 5th through June 12th in Orlando, Florida. It's great to see so many of you joining the call this evening. Our Team Nebraska delegation consists of 51 members. That includes all of our coaches, our athletes, our unified partners, and our staff. We're competing in 8 different sports, and we have 2 youth leaders that will be participating in the youth leadership experience at the games. We also have 2 youth ambassadors that technically aren't part of our 51, 2 youth ambassadors from Nebraska that will be going as well, along with one of our staff as their chaperone. And I believe we also have 2 individuals that will be going as officials in the sport of bocce, a coach and a athlete from South Sioux City. So Nebraska will be well represented in Orlando. As mentioned, the games are June 5th through the 12th. Total sports, that athletes and unified partners will participate in is 20. They're expecting more than 5,500 athletes and coaches, more than 20,000 volunteers, 125,000 spectators, which would include the family members that are going, and hoping to have more than 15,000 free health screenings given at the game. So these will be the biggest and best games yet, and we're very excited to be able to be a part of it. So Team Nebraska expectations. It's very important that we represent Nebraska, that we show good sportsmanship, good conduct on and off the field of play. Health and fitness will be a big component of the games. It'll be very important that all of our participants, all of our coaches, all of our staff make this a focus, not only while we're participating in the event, but leading up to the event. And we'll talk a little bit about that here later on in the call. We need to make sure that we're attending our training. Practice is very important and expected of everyone. Dave will go into a little bit more detail about that as we introduce our different teams. Media, if we get any requests to participate in an interview, whether that be a newspaper, local TV station, something could come up after the games themselves. It's just very important that we understand that that is part of this, and we need to participate in that. Fundraising, and we've talked about that in the past, but fundraising is important. Each athlete and unified partner will need to raise $600 to contribute to our total team costs, and each coach will raise $300. And the rest of the expenses will be raised by our Sony staff. And then, of course, have fun. Really enjoy the experience. Make the best of it, and get the most out of it that you can. I want to talk a little about some of the things that we will provide to you and things that you'll need to bring with you from home. We will be providing plane ticket round trip to Orlando from Omaha. We will leave as a team on Saturday the 4th and come back on Sunday the 12th. Opening ceremonies will be on the 5th. We're not exactly sure yet what time, but I would anticipate that the opening ceremony will be televised. Last time when we went to Seattle, I believe it was on ABC. We haven't heard exactly, which network will be picking it up, but I think, it likely will be ABC or maybe ESPN. Myself and Dave will likely be going on that Friday, and we'll be there when the rest of the team arrives to greet everyone. So you'll check in with us when you do arrive. We'll be providing, hotel, food, the cost that comes with all of that. We will be staying as a team on Disney property. So that is really exciting. We'll have 2-person rooms, and we will be assigning roommates here come December. We'll be providing your team gear uniforms, polos, hats, t-shirts, and Dave will go into a little bit more detail about that. Trading pins, for anybody that has not gone to higher competition in the past, that's a big part of the experience, trading pins with other delegations. You'll be doing that at the closing ceremony, as well as throughout the event. And then we will provide luggage and a backpack. So a lot of what you will need, we will provide. The things that you will need to bring from home would be your shoes, sport specific and just casual shoes, your sport equipment. You'll want to bring toiletries, socks, underwear, pajamas, that type of thing. Probably a couple of outfits for like casual wear, shorts, pants. We are expecting it to be very warm in Florida in June. You'll want to bring spending money if you want to get a souvenir or something like that. If you have any personal medical supplies or snacks that might be needed for any diet, that will be important to bring and to make sure that we're aware of those things. And then of course your cell phone and your phone charger will be important to make sure to bring that as well. Now I'd like to kind of introduce our staff that will be a part of Team Nebraska. Myself and Dave Deming are our heads of delegation. This is my second time going to a USA Games. I was also head of delegation for 2018 Seattle, as was Dave. Dave also participated in 2014 when we went to New Jersey. Elisa Hoffman will be the family support coordinator once again for these games. Megan Loberg-Simmering will be attending for the first time, and she will be our chaperone for our Unified Champion Schools youth experience. Amanda Mancuso will also be going for the first time. Amanda's on our staff and will be kind of handling our social media, photography, that type of thing. Sean will be going actually as a chaperone for the two youth ambassadors. We have Sophie and Joey from the Omaha area that will be attending the games as part of their role as ambassadors. Taylor won't be able to go with us to the actual event, but she will be handling the bulk of registration leading up to the games. And then Jane Elam, who is our East Region coordinator, will be attending her first games. And she will be a support to coaches, athletes, unified partners, and will be a big help to us. And then Crystal Zapkabelski will be going as a volunteer, kind of with the health, fitness, nutrition role. And you guys will meet Crystal a little later on in this presentation. And she's been a big help to Special Olympics Nebraska in a lot of ways as a lead volunteer now for a number of years. So I'd like to kind of turn it over to Dave now, and Dave's going to introduce our athletes, partners, coaches, and talk a little bit about our sport specific information.
Thanks, Nate. Okay, as Nate said, I'm Dave Deming, Director of Sports and Competition. So we know most of the venues that we're going to be using. To the most point, they still have some up in the air as they're working out some of the finite details. But right now, athletics is going to be held at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex. And so we're going to have our runners for that are going to be Shay Delaney, Tiffany Campion, Isaiah Pope, Greg Campion, and the coach is Bill Campion. And for all of our sports, at this time, this month, they're asking us to turn in kind of what we want our athletes to be doing. So we've asked for a quota for a certain sport, but now we're kind of breaking it down to the actual events. So some of you coaches I've spoken to, and if you've gotten me those, Bill, I know you and I have talked. I appreciate that. You've gotten me the events that our athletes want to do. So I'm going to need that from a couple more coaches as we go along. But right now, this is our athletics team here. And as Nate kind of alluded to before about practice a little bit, if you haven't met your coach yet, coaches, I ask you to please reach out and at least meet your athletes at this time. I know you may not have put a practice together yet, but that's something you're going to want to start thinking about doing sooner rather than later. We understand that some of you might not be close to each other. It might be hard to get together, and that's okay. You can work with your local delegation or your coach that you normally work with and kind of get some times if we need those and work on some things with the head coach for Team Nebraska. Moving on here to aquatics. So our coach is going to be Dennis, who was also our coach in Seattle 2018. So our team would be Henry Bishop, Dexter Durble, Skylar Simmons, and Lizzie Pfister. So again, they're from different delegations, but still I know Dennis has got some experience now. He knows how to run a practice with athletes from different places, and so that's just something he's going to have to work on, getting them all together. But Dennis, I do need to get with you and let's figure out what events they want to do, and then not yet, but later on they're going to ask for some qualifying times. And then most likely what they'll do is they'll ask for qualifying times again as we get closer to the game so they can make adjustments for their final divisions. So that's something we just want to think about, because they will probably hold us to that 15% rule. So we want to make sure that our times are as close as possible to what they're going to run or swim or jump in the games. Next slide, please. So bowling, they're at the Boardwalk Bowl, which is one of the largest bowling centers in Florida, actually in Southwest United States. So Coach Rob Hampton, he's gone to higher competition before, and his bowlers will be Allie Moore, Jared Geis, Tensi Tongas, and Jason Geishan. Again, Rob's got a little bit of a challenge with some of his the distance that he's got to handle with his athletes, but again, you can get your practice in at your own alleys, and then you can work on things when you guys get together. And for you guys, I signed you up for as many as we could, so we're going to do the 4-person team, and then we will do the doubles as well, and then singles. So as long as I keep that to where we can sign up for all of those, we will be in as many events as possible to maximize your experiences. Powerlifting. So Coach Mike Sissel, this will be his first time going, but his 2 powerlifters are Rachel Mulligan and Craig Shutt. I believe Mike's already started working with them. Unfortunately, Kearney's kind of far from Papillion, but again, you work in your own gym and you work on some things, and I know Mike's getting together and talking about what that's going to look like for them. Let's move on to tennis. So right now, Nancy Sampson is our coach, and she was our coach also in Seattle. And her athletes will be Haley Wagner and Patrick McCracken. I know she's very familiar with them. She's worked with them a lot, so I think them getting together is not going to be a problem at all. And I know they've already kind of started working on some things, so that's great. Thanks, Nancy. Next one. All right, our unified basketball team. So this is our one team sport that we're taking. Our head coach is Corey Piercy with his assistant coach, Dylan Sengraff. And the other one would be Tim Hoffman. And then our team would be Austin Hoffman, Connor Hoffman, Matt Hoffman. And then we have Evan Roberts, Corey Rhea, Paul Rhea, Tyler Raymond, Garrett Kromberg, Wyatt Spalding, and Wes Spalding. So I know these guys have gotten to practice a little bit because I got to go out and practice once with them. They haven't invited me back for obvious reasons. I probably wasn't bringing anything to the team, and I was very sore and tired afterwards. So I'm not heartbroken about that. But I know Corey's got them practicing, already running offenses and a ton of drills that I would not want to do again. So don't call me anymore. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so bocce, last time bocce was indoors. I believe it's indoors again. As I said, this is one of the venues they haven't completely secured yet, but I know they're working on having it indoors again, which is probably the right thing to do for it being in Florida and the heat and the fact it's probably going to rain every day. So our head coach for this is Barb Rolfe, and this is definitely not her first time at higher competition. And her team is Marianne Slobin, Rachel Slobin, Eric Luciano, and Travis Heller. And I know that, as I said, this is not Barb's first time, so she'll definitely not have an issue getting them together for practice and working on a lot of their games. Next up. So Unified Golf, they weren't sure where the venue was, and it was just recently announced that it's the Orange County National Golf Center. So the head coach for that is Mike Messerall, and the 2 golfers are Brent Appelherska and John Moen. So if you guys want to do a little Google search on the course, it looks pretty nice. Obviously, if they're going to pick a course to use down there and they have lots to choose from, this is going to be one of the nicer ones. So I'm sure there's alligators out there from everything I remember. So I would kind of just worry about that, but everything else should be fine. Next one.
Yeah, so next up is our inclusive youth leaders. we are bringing our Emma Judd from Millard South and Taylor Hand from Millard West, and then their chaperone and mentor for this trip will be Megan Loberg Simmering. Emma and Taylor both serve on our youth activation committee, so we're hoping that they come up with a lot of great ideas and work well with everyone else that's going to be there that week, so that way they can bring ideas back to Nebraska, so that way we can keep growing our youth leadership and keep growing our schools in Nebraska. So yeah.
So I'm going to go over some paperwork that's required. All of this should have been sent to you already. The registration forms were sent out on September 17th. There's the registration for athletes and unified partners, and then the registration for coaches, staff, and HODs. You can find all of those forms on our website under the USA Games tab, along with most of this information that we're going over today. The other form that we need to worry about is medical forms. If you are an athlete or a unified partner competing, you will need to get an updated medical form if you haven't gotten one since December 15th of 2020. And you will send those to me as well. I know a lot of people have, but usually unified partners don't have to, so just remember that. And then just in case we need it, if you haven't already sent in any proof of vaccination, that would be great as well. And all that you can send to me. My email's right there.
Now we're going to cover the Family and Friends program. And my name is Elisa Hoffman, if you haven't met me, but I know most of you. I would like to see a thumbs up on your reactions. If you're reading Taylor's newsletters that she sends, there's lots of information on there if you haven't. Clipped Wings is a organization that is nationwide, and they are giving out a grant, one grant, I believe, per state. And it is to families who would need some financial assistance. I believe it's about $1,000. So there is an application, and that is due November 15th. And look in your emails for the link of that. It's a really simple application. We are not in charge of selecting that family. It is the Clipped Wings that'll be doing that, and they will let families know in February if they receive it. So if you need that link again, let me know. And if you, I know a lot of you are taking quite a group of people with you, so that might be worth checking out. Next slide. If you have not registered as a family yet, you're going to want to go to the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games.org website. And at the top here where it says plan your trip, that's where you're going to register for the family package. There is family registration. And if you've checked that out, the family registration includes quite a few things. It's an opening ceremonies ticket, a ticket to an event on Thursday, June 9th. And they have not told us where that's at yet, but it is.
Elisa, you muted yourself.
Sorry, thank you. Adult tickets are $95, kids 3 to 11 are $50, anybody under 3 is free. And then when you hit register now, that's where you're going to get the family tickets. But below that, then you can select what hotels you want to stay at. I know a lot of people are staying at hotels. You can stay on Disney property. They have some sister properties. And a lot of people are going the Airbnb route. Any of those are fine. Just one thing to think about is parking. If you stay on Disney property and you rent a car, there is a parking fee for that. And then if you stay at one of the sister hotels, there might not be parking fees, but you need to think about how you're going to get to the Disney property. In 2022, there's no longer the Disney transportation from the airport. So there is a number that you can call under this family registration, and they can kind of help you plan some of that stuff out. But so really start thinking about rental cars and your hotels at this point. The closing ceremony is not a ticketed event. So the things you'll need the ticket for is opening ceremonies and then a special event at on the Disney property. You can go to the next slide. This was the 3 hotels. There's lots of hotels on the Disney resorts, and these are just a few examples. The prices for the Disney properties are anywhere from $207 a night to $623 a night, depending on what your budget is. And if you stay off-site, it was $194 to $128 a night. So a very wide range of prices for families traveling. Next slide. And then I'm going to let Haley Wagner jump on. Haley is one of the athletes that helped design the logo for the games and has been on the athlete planning committee for the games. And Haley, you can unmute. And do you want to tell everybody a little bit about the app for the games?
Yeah. So the app, I highly suggest all athletes and parents and anyone can download the app. And then once you you can make a profile, and it's easy access to the maps and plan your trip. You can shop on the merchandise there. And then once it gets closer to the games, you can cheer on that athlete. And then also you can see the schedule of the athletes. And then eventually it will be, we can look at times for healthy athletes.
Thank you, Haley. And then she mentioned merchandise. There is a merchandise page on there, and in the chat, I just put there, there's a family discount code. It's SOFAM15 for 15% off. You can buy some merchandise there, and then later on, we're going to have some things on the Lawlers website for families to have, like a Team Nebraska USA Games stuff as well. And when you make a profile for this app, you can do it on Apple or Android. It sends you a confirmation email first. I think you have to open that up before you log into the app. But thanks, Haley. Next slide. Nate or Taylor, can you go to the next slide?
I think he's working on it.
Okay. If you have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. I know we're going through a lot of information really fast. The website has lots of good information.
Sorry, my computer froze up a little bit on me, so I wasn't able to move the slide forward. But before we get on to the next slide with, I believe, Crystal, she hasn't arrived on the call yet. I did want to talk a little bit about COVID and answer any questions about anything we've talked about so far. So if you do have questions while I first touch on COVID, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then we'll give everybody a chance to. You can raise your hand and unmute yourself if you have any questions. But as far as COVID goes, as far as information that we have at this moment, the games, they're planning to happen. COVID's a fluid situation, so you never know what could happen. The World Games that were scheduled in January were postponed a year due to COVID. And that's a little bit different situation in that you have so many people coming from so many different places all over the world, whereas the USA Games would be just the US and the Caribbean. Still, you have a lot of people coming together. I know that it's under consideration by the Games Organizing Committee to require the COVID vaccine of basically anyone that would have a credential. So that would include all of us. That would include the registered family members as well. And we don't have confirmation as of this moment that is happening, but we know it's under consideration. And I can tell you that it was a requirement for the World Games. It has been a requirement for some of the SONA events, Special North America events that were scheduled for this fall that ultimately got canceled. I think it's very likely to happen. And, and I think even if the Games staff, doesn't follow through with requiring it, it's likely that we will require it as Team Nebraska. One of the definite concerns that we have is if we have a member of our delegation that contracts COVID while there and then has to quarantine from the rest of the team and could possibly be in Florida without their family. And obviously we all know that we can obtain the virus with the vaccine, but it's certainly, statistics show that, you're safer in terms of serious illness and death if you are vaccinated. So that's what we're talking about now. So I think if you're someone right now that doesn't have the vaccine and you feel that it's not something that you want to do, we need you to get in touch with us. And I would say do so in the next week so we can discuss that. And so just call me or email me and we can discuss that. And as soon as we have an official decision from the games organizing committee, we will be sharing that. So and we just would need to understand each person's situation and if it turns out that we need to replace someone, we need to work on that sooner rather than later, because it gets to a point where it's too late. And the first wave of registration is due the end of October. And we really need to have an idea by then of everyone that ultimately will be a part of our delegation. So I know that COVID is a challenging situation, and the vaccine can be a tricky topic, and we're not here to judge anyone on their personal decision, but we just have to do what we have to do to look out for the whole of the team. So so now I really just want to open it up to questions that anybody has about any of the information we've talked about so far. Go ahead and put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask if you have a question. Okay, I did see a question in the chat. Let's see here. So Bill asked that he sent in fundraiser money. Who do I check with to make sure it has been sent in? So Bill, you'd want to contact Stephanie Guido at our office. And certainly I can reach out to Stephanie as well tomorrow in the office, but Stephanie would be the person to ask about that.
I did
Hey,
want to
Nick,
mention, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, this is John Moen. I was wondering if we get copies of the slides you went through.
Yeah, John, we can send that out, tomorrow along with the recording for anybody that may have missed the meeting tonight. Happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, a couple actually. Taylor, will you let us know if you haven't received our registration forms? I think I sent them in, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, I will check my email and double check. Right now, I believe we have maybe a handful of people, so
Okay,
I can double check.
I think
Okay.
we have 5 in right now so far. And that's what I was gonna talk about real quick. I know Nate said paperwork's due at the end of October. If you could please not wait that long to get it in, because it's like 19 pages you guys have to fill out. And unfortunately, with what they're using right now, we just can't upload that. So we take that information and have to hand enter a lot of it ourselves. So we're doing, 50 of these to put in the games. And so we don't want to be doing that October 31st. So if you could get them in before that, that would be great. We'd appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I think the deadline to get them in was October 15th. So
Perfect.
as many
Yeah.
people that can get it in before that or by that date, that'd be great.
Yeah, the October 15th deadline is what we have for you to get it to us. The 31st deadline is when we have to abide by to enter the information into the system. So that's what I was referring to. And like David Taylor just mentioned, the sooner you can get it to us, the better. It does take a little bit of time for us to enter each person. So
Okay.
thank you for that.
And do we know what hotel the kids will be staying, the athletes will be staying at yet?
We don't know exactly which resort we will be at. I think that we should know by December when we do our room assignments. I was supposed to actually be in Florida last month for the head of delegation conference. It got postponed due to COVID. It's now in January. And so I will be able to go and take a tour of all the facilities, everything that we will everywhere we will be, and I'll be able to share that information with everybody. But I think hopefully before that, we will know exactly where we're staying, because we have to actually turn in our room assignments in the December registration deadline. But we do know that the athletes, the teams will be staying on Disney property. We're just not exactly sure where we will be assigned.
I have a question. Was this registration form you talking about, was that 19 pages that we were to fill out? I don't think. they heard.
Taylor, you want to address that? You're muted.
Yeah, I don't know how many pages exactly. There is 2 forms within the form that I sent out. One is for minors and one is for adults. So just be wary of that when you're filling it out. If I think everybody here is an adult, but I want to say it's around 12 to 13 pages.
Okay, I didn't get that then. I thought maybe you were, when I printed Eric's physical to go to the doctor, there was a registration form attached to that. It was an extra page. I thought maybe you were talking about that, but you're not.
No, so that's the registration form that is usually attached to our medical so that we can keep up to date with people's addresses, phone numbers, and any contact information. This registration is all of the forms that SONA is requiring you to sign in order to participate in the game. So it's just waivers for the parks, a COVID thing they want signed. It was in the last email I sent in September 17th, but I can attach it in an email tomorrow when I send out this recording with the not spreadsheet, PowerPoint in it. So I can resend it all. But like I said too, it's also on the website under the USA Games. So you can find the
Okay.
registrations for the athletes, unified partners, for coaches, and then along with a medical form if you still don't have a copy of that.
No, we got the medical form taken care of. I took that into K.
Okay. Yep. And I think I've gotten that. So
Okay.
Okay, there are a couple questions in the chat that I want to address. So question, what if we want to remain longer in Orlando? That's fine. If any members of our team want to stay and have an extended vacation, we won't book our travel until either the end of this calendar year or beginning of 2022. But we'll have a system in place. So if anybody wants to spend time with their family while at the games or stay beyond the games, that we will work that out. We just need to ensure that everybody doesn't miss competition or anything that's scheduled. But we will certainly, support that. And we want everybody to have fun and especially spend time with their family for those that are traveling to the games. So yes. Corey asked, when did the registration get sent out? Taylor, I believe it was
September 17th would have been the last one that got sent out. And it should have just had that Clipped Wings grant application in it, the registration forms, a copy of the medical if people are still needing to do that, and some information regarding COVID just in case it is required. So I can try and include that all in an email tomorrow to everybody, again, in case anybody missed it, and include the slideshow that we're doing right now as well.
And we made those all fillable PDFs to make it easier for you guys. So you don't have to scan them and send them back to us. You can just, it'll just, populate right to it and send it to us. It should be easier for you guys at that point.
okay.
And if you're
then-
not getting the emails from Taylor, you might want to check your junk mail or send Taylor the emails that addresses that you want it to go to, because we sent a lot of really important information to it. And I know it's easy to miss things because it comes through our MailChimp. So we're able to see who gets it and who's opening them. So if you're not getting it, let us know.
So it's like through an email, right?
Mhm.
All this paper.
Yes.
Okay.
So it should have all gone to the email that you provided on the application when you originally applied. So whatever email you sent us then is the email that it was getting sent to. So if that's changed since August or January of last year, let us know if there's other people like parents or guardians who weren't included. Let us know if you want them to be getting it as well.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. Does anybody else have any other questions that they want to ask right now?
I do. Is there a way I can bring my my GoPro?
What is your GoPro, Jason?
It's like a little camera, or you can like take pictures, video. It's like a little. Get down, dude. I'll go get it. It's this little thing right here, and I have a little thing where you can strap it around the head, or strap it around the body, and just video.
Yeah, I would think that would be okay to bring, Jason.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we want you guys to have fun on this trip. Take pictures, get to meet new people, spend time with your family if they're able to make it. Get the most out of the experience that you can. Absolutely.
I had a question. This is Barb.
Yeah, Barb, go ahead.
You didn't say, is Bocce going to be able to compete in singles for the athletes and then doubles and team, right?
Yeah, so we'll have singles for the athletes also, and then we'll do doubles and teams. The unified partners just wouldn't be able to do singles.
Singles. Okay, that's what I was thinking. All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Nate,
Yeah, Greg, go ahead.
I got a question. While we're down there in Florida, would we be able to go out for like a run if we wanted to during the day or during the night, outside of our hotel, go for a run?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just need to work that out with your coach. But whatever you feel like you need to do to train and be prepared, we support that.
Okay.
On that, you just let's say we're at the pop culture, because I was there a couple months ago. You just got to be careful with the alligators, because we're right there, right by the pond area where there's a lot of alligators and stuff. So you just gotta watch where you're stepping. They have snakes there too.
You can't go for a swim.
Nope,
swimming.
no swimming.
And we have to remember the recreation swim policy at events. And I'm sure when I have a chance to go in January, I'll learn quite a bit about where we're staying and all the facilities that we'll have people competing at. We'll share everything that we learn on that trip.
I did want to mention some stuff. Nate had kind of talked about uniforms and clothing and stuff like that. So we'll be there for 8 days. So you're going to want to make sure you're packing enough clothes for those days. We'll give you, the shirt for opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, probably another shirt for an off day, and then your uniforms will provide. As far as sports that need like pants, which would be like golf, bocce, bowling, what we generally do is have you purchase your own pants and just submit a receipt to us and we'll reimburse you for that. It's just easier for you to get your size that way as opposed to us trying to do it and then having to switch things back and forth. And what we'll do is we'll pick some neutral colors for the bottoms, whether it's a set of black and gray or tan, and get a couple pairs, and then just reimburse you guys for that. But also, coaches, this time around, it looks like the USA Games staff will be doing our laundry for us, which is nice because that's always been a thing where we're fighting for laundry and waiting around late at night to get the machines. So according to what they said, they'll be doing our laundry for us. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm assuming they're pretty seasoned at it, considering the major tournaments that they've held here, whether it's the NBA bubbles or different sporting events that they've had. So I think they're going to know what they're doing. But you're going to want to bring enough off day clothes for you to wear, and think about how hot you're going to be and sweaty. So you might be changing more than just one time a day. So think about that when you're packing. Just something to keep in mind.
Allie Moore has a question.
Go ahead, Allie.
So when we're not competing, like when we don't have an event, is there something we're gonna do fun as a team or with our bowling, or we'll be able to do something with family if they come?
Yeah, all of the above, really. And, we don't know a lot about what those additional activities will be, but just going to Seattle, there was something to do most every night. There were events that people could go to and different things to do. So I think it's very possible that they will have a night out at Disney for all of the people competing in the games. We just don't have a lot of that information just yet, but yes, we will be very busy every day, all day. And you'll be getting up early and going to bed late. You'll be doing a ton of walking. It's going to be very important that we all are prepared and ready for that. But yes, we will have as much fun as we can. Okay. Any other questions before we bring the slideshow back up and move on to the next topic? Okay, if you do have questions that come up, just put them in the chat and we'll address them here at the end. But let me try to share my screen once again. Second.
Allie, do you have another question or just need to put your hand down?
No, I did. The hand thing was still up there.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. One of the fun things, they have ambassadors for the USA Games. I just saw that Chris Pratt and his girlfriend, Catherine Schwarzenegger, signed on today. So there will be a lot of celebrities involved in the games, whether they are there in person or virtually. It's just kind of fun to watch, follow along on their Facebook page, the USA Games 2022. There's a lot of things by the celebrities. Nate, you can go to the next slide. So health and fitness is a big part of the games. As part of that, we're taking Crystal, who did the sweat testing with us. And right now we're on week 4 of the Sona Move Challenge. On Mondays, you're supposed to submit your minutes of movement for the week. And I know a lot of you are really great about that. Allie Moore, I've even seen on her Facebook pages, she posts the weekly theme and is doing a great job with that. We as a state organization, SONY, Special Olympics Nebraska, will do a fitness challenge in the winter of 2022. It is an expectation that the Team Nebraska members participate in that. It's a lot of fun. And then there will be a Sona walking challenge, I believe, the spring of 2022, that we'll ask all of the Team Nebraska people to participate in as well. So if you have not submitted your movements, Nate, we have the next, on this page right here, it's the Sona Move Challenge. If you click right here on this red tab, it takes you to the reporting page, and I can put that in the chat now. You are all signed up as participants. Your team name would be like Team Nebraska Bocce, and your first and last name is in there. So I know some of you have submitted your minutes, and there have been some people who have not been moving the last 4 weeks. So you can still submit all of your minutes from week 1, 2, and 3 retroactively. So please submit those if you haven't already. And we'll go to the next slide. Maybe. There we go. So this is Crystal. I know Crystal hopped on the phone. She's had a busy night. She just got home from running her kids around, but I'm going to let Crystal hop on now and talk a little bit about the sweat testing that many of you were involved with, the results that you should have all received last week via email, and her intern that'll be helping us as Team Nebraska. Crystal, are you able to jump on?
Yep, I was talking away, but I was muted, I think, still.
Okay.
Now?
Yep.
Okay, so I said, good to see you guys. Thank you guys for your patience on getting all of your sweat testing information back to you. I know you guys worked really hard in doing that SWOT testing. You did a great job. That workout was not easy. You had some tough coaches, so you did a nice job. It took me some time to put together everybody's individual profile, so I had to do a lot of math and just a lot of work getting that together, but we have this together now. So you should have gotten an email last week with your profiles. Did everybody get that? Did anybody not receive it? Maybe that's a smaller number of people. Did anybody not receive their profile? Okay, if you didn't, let Elisa know because she has all the copies. So in case somebody's email happened to bounce back or something, this way we make sure everyone got one. So up on the screen right now, you're going to see an example. And so this is what you would have gotten in the mail or via email. So first it's going to have your name at the top. So you can see here we have John Smith. That tells you that you got the right profile. That's going to tell you when we completed it and that we did a climate controlled workout. That basically means that we were inside a building and we had the air conditioning on. You guys weren't outside in like Florida heat. So that tells me what we were doing, how we were testing you. Below that, you're going to have 3 different concepts. So the first was, remember how we had you guys provide a urine sample? So you had to pee in a cup for us and we analyzed that. What that did was told us how well hydrated you were before you started. So when you look here, there's going to be a key. If you have 3 blue drops, that means that you were really well hydrated. So if you have your profile in front of you, if you have 3 blue drops, that means you hydrated really well. You came in already hydrated. You were not dehydrated. So you were ready to work out. You were ready to compete. If you have 2, that means you had minimal dehydration. That means you were a little bit dehydrated. And if you only had 1 blue drop, that means that you were dehydrated, pretty dehydrated, significantly so, meaning that if you had come to a competition with that hydration status, you would have probably not performed well. You probably wouldn't have felt well. You would have been at a greater chance of having things like a pulled muscle or a headache or just different problems from being dehydrated. So you guys can use that kind of as a refresher when you look at this. Again, ideally you would have 3 of these blue drops. If you had 2, not that big of a deal. If you only had 1, that means that you were dehydrated. You need to be drinking a lot more before you work out or practice, okay? Any questions on that before I move on to the second part? Okay, so the second one is how much you sweat per hour. So this is where we're trying to figure out just how much sweat are you losing. So the green bottles that I gave you guys the day of the sweat testing, that's what I use as a reference. So you guys know the little green squeeze bottles, everybody got 2 of them. This tells you in ounces. So for your parents or your coaches, they might want to know in ounces, but I think it's easier to look at bottles. So this particular example, this person sweat 1 3/4 bottles. So a whole bottle of sweat plus another 3/4 of a bottle. This is how much they sweat in that 1 hour workout. I know that sounds pretty crazy because that's a lot of sweat to lose. What happens is not only are we wiping that sweat off of us, so with our shirt or our towel, or it's getting caught in our shirt or our shorts, in our socks, so our clothes are getting wet from that sweat. But in addition to that, it evaporates off your skin. So that sweat hits your skin and then it goes into the air. So it seems like that's a lot to lose, but really, this is a pretty normal sweat rate. This is what I see for a lot of athletes is sweating, at least 1 liter an hour. So this is a pretty normal sweat rate. So for all of you, you should have this sweat rate as well. I should go back here on the hydration. If you don't have anything here, that just means you weren't able to provide me a urine sample. So if for some reason yours says no urine sample provided, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means that that morning you weren't able to provide a sample for me, so I had nothing to test. We may do some more testing down the road, so we may do this again for you guys at some point. So that's not a big deal. Don't be concerned if you don't have it. It just means you weren't able to provide that urine sample. Okay. Okay. Any questions on the sweat rate? So how many bottles you sweat per hour? Anybody have questions on that part? Okay. And so the third part tells us how much salt you lose in your sweat. So those patches that I stuck to your arms and that we put that netting over the top of, and I kept checking your patches all morning or all afternoon, those patches captured sweat. So we actually took the sweat from those patches, we squeezed it into a little test tube, and then we studied it. And that told us how much salt was in your sweat. If for some reason you have something here that says that you didn't have enough sweat to study, it just means that maybe your patch fell off early or the edges picked up and maybe it was contaminated. Again, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means maybe that patch didn't quite work for you for that testing. There were a couple people that the patches fell off early. Sometimes that's because you're sweating so fast. Sometimes it's because your arms are hairy and the patch doesn't stick very well. And then sometimes it's because it just got rubbed against or for some reason it got disrupted. But if you do have numbers here, I try to put this into something that you would understand. So this is a teaspoon, which is pretty darn close to the size of a spoon you would use if you're eating cereal or ice cream. And then it tells you how much of a teaspoon that you lost. So this particular example lost 2/3 of a teaspoon per hour. So almost a whole teaspoon of salt was lost in that sweat in that 1 hour. And again, you guys will see yours. This particular person was considered high. So I showed you in a teaspoon fashion, and then I also gave you if you were low, moderate, or high. This person lost a high amount of salt. What that means really is that they are a greater chance for being dehydrated sooner. So they should probably be drinking Gatorade. At the very end of your worksheet, so these are the examples, and at the very end, it's going to have a section that says, so what does this mean for me? And then I've given you guys recommendations. So I may have said, you were well hydrated, keep drinking well, or I may have said, you were not hydrated well, or you were dehydrated, you need to drink more before exercise. I told you how much you needed to drink every 15 minutes. So for parents or coaches that might be joining us tonight, one of the great things is if you know a sweat rate per hour, you can divide that by 4, and every 15 minutes you could put a tape or a Sharpie mark on a bottle, and you can take a peek and see, okay, we're 15 minutes in, we should be down, you know, to that first mark on the bottle. And you can kind of do that throughout the hour, and that helps to train the athlete to understand what their hydration should look like. And then the sodium, the application of that will be, should I be drinking water? Should I be drinking Gatorade? If someone has a moderate to high sodium loss or salt loss, they should be drinking Gatorade within that first hour. So by the time they hit 45 minutes or an hour, we should be switching to Gatorade or Powerade or whatever kind of sports drink you like, something that puts salt back into your system. Any questions on any of this? I know it's a lot of information. I'm going to expand you guys so I can see everybody, so I'm not looking at myself. What do you guys think about this stuff? Helpful? Any questions? Anybody? Questions? Do you guys find this to be helpful information? Yes, good. I can see your head shaking. Great. This won't be the last time you guys hear from me, so I'm going to continue to work with you guys. One of the things that we want to offer, so I'm looking for, here she is, Abby. So I have an intern that's going to work with me, so I'm going to let her introduce herself here in a second, but some of the things that we want to do for you guys include things like potentially doing some nutrition education videos. So maybe some things that will be found on the Facebook or the Instagram, or things that we can send to you guys. So it could be anything from like a cooking demo to reading a nutrition facts label, making a grocery list, those kind of things. Abby is going to help us to develop some of that material and then help us to present that. And so if we sent you the guys those kind of things in an email or on the Facebook, would you guys find those to be helpful? That kind of information? Would you guys watch those videos? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to give Abby a second here to introduce herself. I got to pull through here and see where I can find her. There she is. So I'm going to mute myself and let Abby introduce herself. She was a student of mine. So I am a teacher. I'm a college teacher. Abby was one of my students. And so now she's going to do some work with me. So I'm going to stop talking and let Abby do some talking. Okay.
Hi guys, I'm Abby. I'm a sophomore at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I've been doing sports my whole life, so it's something that is a passion of mine as well, and I'm super interested, and I look forward to working with you guys.
Do you guys have anything in particular that you're looking to learn that we could tell Abby? So like I said before, cooking, how to follow a recipe, grocery shopping, reading a nutrition facts label. Are there things in particular that you're interested in that you would like Abby to put together for us? This is a time not to be shy. I want to hear from you guys. So tell me what you're thinking. Anybody?
Cooking.
Cooking, okay. When you guys are cooking, are you using an oven or a stovetop or a microwave or a combination? Are you using lots of different things? It looks like you guys are shaking your head yes. So So take note, Abby. So that's one thing. Maybe different cooking opportunities using a variety of cooking devices. So microwave, stovetop, maybe a crock pot for your family. We'll do some different things. That's a really good answer. Who else has an idea of what you might want to learn? Oh, someone like crock pot? Perfect. Yep. Okay.
How about maybe some things they should eat before or after a workout?
Okay. Yeah.
Or breakfast items on the go. I know a lot of our athletes are working.
Yep. Snacks maybe would be a good thing. Would you guys like snack ideas as well? How many of you guys would like budgeting ideas? So if you only have $20 to buy groceries, trying to figure out the best way to spend your money on groceries, would that be helpful for you guys? Budget stuff looks like a lot of yeses. Okay. So we're going to put some things together. And then, like I said, oh, portion sizes. Someone said portions. That's a really good idea as well. Then we can
Healthy
do
drinks.
Yep. Drinks. Okay. We can do a lot of these the same way that I did your sweat profile. So trying to make it easier to understand by giving a visual. So like using the size of your bottle to show you how much you sweat. So you don't have to think about ounces. Abby can do the same thing for you guys in terms of serving sizes. So she says, I want you to eat this much pasta. Instead of saying, I want you to eat a cup, she might say, I want it to be the size of a baseball. So we'll try and give you guys things that are just easier to understand. Cool. Anybody else? Any other feedback? We're good.
As you guys think of things, you can email me and I will let Crystal and Abby know. And thank you, Crystal and Abby, for jumping on and being willing to be part of the team.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And thank you for working so hard on your sweat testing. Like I said, you guys worked so hard. It was so much fun for me. And I appreciate your patience. It was a lot to put together for you guys, but you guys did a really good job. It's great information. It's going to help me get you guys ready for the USA Games, which is going to happen next summer. So it's exciting. We'll use that to get you guys all prepped and ready to go. Cool. Good to see you guys. I'm going to mute myself and let Elisa be the boss again.
Nate, it's all yours.
Okay, well, that kind of concludes our slide. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just give you guys a chance to answer any other questions that you might have or ask any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you need help with the registration, with the paperwork, contact Taylor. If you want to talk about COVID, give me a call. We can discuss that. And we'll be sure to continue to provide you information as we get it and keep you as informed as we can. We appreciate your patience, and we know that you guys have had a lot of questions since we announced our delegation, and we'll do our best to keep up with things as best we can. So does anybody else have any other questions?
Hey,
yeah, Mike.
a quick question. The application asks for a headshot. Is that the headshot you're going to use, the one that you took already? So we don't have to provide that with the application?
Yes. Elisa, did we get Mike's picture?
Yeah, we get, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
we got it.
Yeah. So there are certain rules with the pictures, and these are the pictures that will go on your credential when we get to the games. And so if we don't have everyone's picture, Elisa, I'll let you just touch on that real quick.
Yes, we should have everybody's picture. I think there's 2 people that had something on their heads we need to maybe retake. But Mike, I don't know that you're talking about the same.
So on the application you want us to complete, it asks for a headshot.
That's correct, Mike. Yes. So when everyone showed up for the sweat testing, they all took their pictures in the black Sony shirt or whatever we provided that day. Yeah. So we have all those. Taylor put them into a file, and so as we've been uploading the ones we have, we're using that as your shot for the games. That's correct, Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So I just wanted to throw out there, we had a volunteer that took those pictures for us. So if anybody missed those pictures, I'm sure he would be willing to do headshots for anyone that wasn't there that day. You can just let Elisa know, and we can set up an alternate time and try and get everyone that didn't happen to get that headshot. We can get it done. I'm sure he'd be happy to do it.
Okay, we'll make sure we have everyone's picture, and anybody that we don't, we'll get that taken care of here right away. Any other questions? Do any of our coaches have anything that they want to talk about or anything that they want to report on? I know we've had some people that are already practicing, getting together, people that are training. I know our powerlifters have already been competing. Does anybody have anything that they want to share before we end the call tonight?
Bocce had a practice last weekend, I guess it was. So hour and a half at West Point and played on some turf. As soon as you find out what we're playing on, that would be great, for sure.
Yeah, as soon as we know, Barb, we will let you guys know. I hope it's turf, but we just haven't been informed yet on bocce.
Okay.
All right. Does any of our staff have anything else they want to mention? Okay. So I was looking through the chat real quick to make sure we didn't miss something. Greg is asking if we can bring protein shakes. Bring protein shakes from the airport in Omaha to Orlando, Greg? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I think as long as you can take it on the plane, you can bring it.
Okay.
You probably have to have it in your checked bag, Greg, instead of your carry-on. But you know what? I think we can also probably find some when we get there. So if you can't take them, I bet you that we'll be able to find some somewhere when we get there as well.
All right.
Cool. We can talk a little bit more about that. We could also bring some kind of powder to make a drink. So as we get closer and you guys are starting to pack for the event, I will help you to strategize how to get the nutritional stuff you guys need on the plane into Florida with you. Okay.
Okay.
Good question, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think if there aren't any other questions and we don't have anybody else that wants to add anything, I think we're done for tonight. So again, thank you guys for your time. Stay in touch with us and let us know any questions you have. The sooner you can get that paperwork back, the better. So please let us know if you need help with any of that. We'll be entering everybody into the system, during the month of October, and we'll just keep moving forward. But we're really excited to take such a wonderful group to Orlando, and it's going to be a really fun time. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great night.